to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Maldives suspends 3 ministers after India strongly raises concerns over derogatory remarks against India. Explore Indian island #trends. Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina wins 4th straight term. Her party secures 2/3 majority in polls. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will hold talks in the UAE and Saudi Arabia on Monday before heading on to Israel. Netanyahu pledges to continue Gaza war until all goals achieved. The Maldives government on Sunday suspended 3 deputy ministers after they made derogatory remarks in their social media post against India. According to sources, the Indian High Commission in Maldives on Sunday strongly raised and expressed concerns about the comments made in regard to Prime Minister by certain ministers in the Maldivian government with the Foreign Office. Also taking action on the matter, the Maldives government in a statement said the government of Maldives is aware of derogatory remarks on social media platforms against foreign leaders and high-ranking individuals. These opinions are personal and do not represent the views of the government of Maldives. The government believes that the freedom of expression should be exercised in a democratic and responsible manner and in ways that do not spread hatred, negativity and hinder close relationships between the Maldives and its international partners. The 3 suspended ministers are Mariam Shuena, Malcha Sharif and Mehzoom Majid. Ministers were in the Maldivian Youth Ministry. Well, hashtags including Explore Indian Islands, Maldives, Lakshadweep and India Out continue to trend on X amidst the controversy. Several Indian celebrities and social media influencers also joined an online campaign calling for a boycott of the Maldives. Well, Bangladesh's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has won re-election for a 4th straight term. Hasina's ruling party, Awami League, has won 2/3 of the seats in the general elections marred by violence and a boycott by the main opposition Bangladesh Nationalist Party and its allies. Hasina will serve another 5 years in office after her party won 200 seats in the 300-seat parliament. Hasina won the Gopalganj 3 seat for the 8th time since 1986. Sunday's result comes after mass arrest of BNP leaders and supporters. The BNP boycotted the election after the Awami League rejected their demands for an independent caretaker government to preside over the polls. Well, the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken assured Arab leaders that Washington opposes the forcible displacement of Palestinians from Gaza. Blinken met with Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani at Lusail Palace on Sunday during his ongoing Middle East trip. Following a separate meeting with top Qatari officials, Blinken said Palestinian civilians must not be pressed to leave Gaza.
Many Palestinian civilians are suffering from insufficient access to food, to water, to medicine, to other essential supplies. Children, most of all. We continue to raise with Israel the need to do everything possible to facilitate the provision of humanitarian aid to Gaza, and I will do so again when I'm there later this week.
Well, Blinken also said discussions included efforts to free the more than 100 hostages still believed to be held by Hamas after an earlier agreement mediated by Qatar broke down.
To those still being held hostage, to their loved ones, to their families, I promise you this: the United States will continue to work relentlessly to bring you home, to get you together with your family and loved ones.
And Blinken was in Jordan early on Sunday and will also travel to Israel, the West Bank, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia and Egypt during his fourth trip to the region. European Union's top diplomat Joseph Borrell is also touring the region to try to quell spillover from the war into Lebanon, the West Bank and Red Sea shipping lanes, where Yemen's Iran-aligned Houthis have vowed to keep up attacks until Israel halts its campaign in the Palestine. Moving on, Israel will continue war in Gaza until Hamas is eliminated and all Israelis returned. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reiterated this at the weekly cabinet meeting on Sunday, saying the war will continue till they ensure that Gaza no longer poses a threat to Israel.
We are not stopping until victory. The war must not be stopped until we achieve all of its goals. The elimination of Hamas, the return of all our hostages and ensuring that Gaza no longer poses a threat to Israel. I say this to both our enemies and our friends. This is our responsibility and this is our commitment. Every other consideration must be set aside and we must continue until the total victory.
Well, dozens, including Israel's war cabinet member Benny Gantz, gathered for the funeral of the Lieutenant Colonel Mordechai at Tel Aviv's Kiryat Shaul cemetery. Mordechai fell in combat on January 6 in the northern Gaza Strip as the Israel-Hamas conflict continues. He was a section commander and promoted posthumously from major to lieutenant colonel. Meanwhile, family members of remaining Hamas hostages in Gaza called on Qatar and other negotiating parties on Sunday to double up efforts to secure the release of their loved ones. The family said they had meetings over the weekend with Qatari senior officials involved in negotiations. With time passing by, family members continue to express anguish that the world attention is shifting elsewhere. Of around 240 people taken captive on October 7th, almost half were released by Hamas during a brief truce in November. And amid rising tensions after the killing of Hamas deputy chief Saleh al-Arari, smoke and fighter jets were seen over the Israel-Lebanon border area on Sunday as Hezbollah and Israel continue to exchange cross-border fire. Hezbollah has been escalating tensions at the border since October last year. Saleh was killed in a drone attack in the suburbs of Beirut, a stronghold of Hamas' Lebanese ally Hezbollah, in an attack blamed on Israel, which has neither denied or confirmed it carried out the killing. Well, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met Japanese Foreign Minister Yuko Kamikawa on Sunday on a first visit to Kyiv. Foreign Minister Yuko Kamikawa pledged Japan's continued support for Ukraine during her unannounced visit. The Japanese Foreign Ministry said in a statement that Japan would strongly demonstrate its commitment to the recovery and reconstruction of Ukraine under a public-private partnership by hosting a Japan-Ukraine conference on the 19th of February. Well, Japanese Foreign Minister Yuko Kamikawa said her country will continue to support Ukraine during a surprise visit to Kyiv on Sunday. Kamikawa held a news conference with a Ukrainian counterpart, Dmytro Kuleba, into a bomb shelter due to an air alert. During the joint news conference, Kuleba stressed Ukraine's need for air defense systems to repel Russian attacks. She pledged millions of dollars to NATO to help Ukraine avert Russian drone strikes and announced donations of generators and transformers.
Japan is determined to continue supporting Ukraine so that its peace can return and restore the beautiful land again. Japan has decided to allocate another $37 million to NATO's trust fund to provide equipment such as drone detection systems.
Also, homes in Ukraine's second city of Kharkiv escaped being hit by a fresh Russian missile attack on Sunday, the mayor reported. As per the preliminary information, there are no damage or casualties. The Kharkiv regional governor said that Russian S-300 missiles had hit Kharkiv city twice and that strikes were also recorded in nearby Vovchansk. But so far, no casualties have been reported. Kharkiv and Vovchansk lie closer to the border near Belgorod in Russia. And German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock on Sunday announced that Germany will allow deliveries of Eurofighter jets to Saudi Arabia. While Chancellor Olaf Scholz pushed to unblock the deliveries, coalition was against the move, highlighting the human rights concerns related to Saudi Arabia. It is to be noted that the Eurofighter project is a joint venture of Britain, Germany, Spain and Italy. Addressing a conference in Jerusalem, the minister called on Israel to do more to protect civilians in Gaza. Meanwhile, German Foreign Ministry says Israel can count on a staunch solidarity in the fight against blind terrorism.
Denn es wird immer klarer.
It is becoming more and more clear. Israel army must do more to protect civilians in Gaza. It must find a way to fight Hamas without so many people dying or to be injured. The suffering of so many innocent people cannot go on like this. We need a less intensive operation.
Wir brauchen eine.
And moving on, former President Donald Trump marked the 3rd anniversary of the Capitol assault by calling the migrant surge the real insurrection. Speaking at a campaign event in Clinton, Iowa, Trump called those jailed in the wake of the January 6, 2021 attack hostages and said they had been mistreated by the Biden administration. Speaking to more than 1,000 supporters in a school gymnasium, Trump repeated his unfounded claims that the 2020 election was fraudulent and cast himself as a victim of political persecution.
First in the nation, it begins right here in Iowa on January 15th, and Joe Biden's banana republic ends on November 5th, 2024. That's what it is. And with your help, we're going to bring back our country. We're going to bring it back from hell, because this country has been in hell. What they've done, and they ought to, you know what they ought to do? They ought to release the J6 hostages. They've suffered enough. They ought to release them. I call them hostages. Some people call them prisoners. I call them hostages. Release the J6 hostages, Joe. Release them, Joe. You can do it real easy, Joe. This guy, what he's done to people.
Meanwhile, migrants in Mexico continue to march north towards the U.S. border after being separated from the caravan they were traveling in by government officials. A 4,000-person caravan traveling through southern Mexico winded up this week after leaders said migration authorities had promised to provide travel permits if the caravan was split up to be processed at several migration centers. A week after U.S. officials, including Secretary of State Antony Blinken, visited Mexico, the caravan broke up and an agreement was reached to collaborate more closely with the Mexican government to address record migration at their shared border. In Spain, Coast Guards rescued 132 migrants off the Canary Islands, and at least 50 arrived by their own means to EI Meteorol Beach. During one of the rescue operations, Spain's Coast Guard also rescued a man traveling in a truck tire and transported him to Gran Tarajal port along with 51 other migrants rescued from a boat off the coast of the island. A total of 56,852 migrants illegally entered Spain by land or sea into 2023. An 82% year-on-year increase and the highest number since 2018. Well, in a joint operation, Colombia and Ecuador busted a criminal organization that supplied around 5 tons of drugs to Europe and the US. The year-long operation ended with the capture of Colombian brothers, Heda and Iron Curo, leaders of the Los Curva organization and wanted for various drug-related crimes. The organization supplied the drugs every month, which has been contained for now. And news from around the world now. Colombians celebrated diversity in Pasto with a colorful parade marking the end of the Blacks and the Whites Carnival. The festival, inspired by Colombian heritage, biodiversity and myths, features floats and a 6-hour parade on the Day of the Whites and the Day of the Blacks. Brazil is marking the first anniversary of a violent uprising by former President Jair Bolsonaro supporters on January 8th, which resulted in the destruction of Congress, Presidential Palace and Supreme Court. The uprising reflects severe polarization in Brazil, influenced by leftist President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Bolsonaro was barred from public office until 2030. The bodies of two hikers have been discovered by Italian mountain rescue team in the Alps, close to the Swiss border. One was being recovered from a lake, the other was discovered buried in the snow. The rescue team, despite strong winds, sent a helicopter to the scene and a dog trained in rescue operations. The victims have not been named yet. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Indian Air Force C-130J Super Hercules aircraft makes maiden night landing at Kargil Strip. India's energy production set to rise from the deepest frontiers of Krishna Godavari. Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli recalled to India's T20I squad for Afghanistan series beginning on January 11th.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. And moving on, the High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka, Santosh Jha, and Sri Lanka's Minister of Transport, Highways and Mass Media, Dr. Bandula Gunawardena, launched a track rehabilitation project at Galgamuva railway station on Sunday. The second phase of the project for track rehabilitation of Maho Anuradhapura line is being executed under an Indian line of credit of $318 million and will be completed in the period of 6 months. The upgrade will help people from Northern Province to seamlessly travel to the capital of the island nation. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be in the Indian state of Gujarat for 2 days starting on Monday. PM will inaugurate Vibrant Gujarat Global Summit 2024 at Mahatma Mandir, Gandhinagar. Meghna Dev reports for more.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be inaugurating the Vibrant Gujarat Global Summit in Gandhinagar, the capital of Gujarat, which is a western state in India. This global summit will be held from the 10th to 12th of January, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be holding talks with global CEOs as well as with head of states. Also, this time, the global summit, the theme is on Gateway to the Future. The Vibrant Gujarat Global Summit was first launched in 2003 when the current Prime Minister Narendra Modi was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. The 20th anniversary of the Vibrant Gujarat Global Summit was celebrated in September last year.
Vibrant Gujarat की सफलता इसकी विकास यात्रा से भी समझी जा सकती है। 2003 में इस समिट से कुछ 100 पार्टिसिपेंट्स और डेलीगेट जुड़े थे। बहुत छोटा सा कार्यक्रम था। आज 40,000 से ज्यादा पार्टिसिपेंट्स और डेलीगेट्स इस समिट में हिस्सा लेने के लिए आना शुरू हुए हैं। 2003 में इस समिट में सिर्फ गिनती भर देशों का पार्टिसिपेशन था। आज 135 देश इसमें पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं। 2003 में इस समिट की शुरुआत में 30 के आसपास एग्जीबिटर्स आए थे। अब 2000 से अधिक एग्जीबिटर्स इस समिट में आते हैं।
The summit is held biennially, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the summit was not held for the last 2 times. With time, the summit has evolved as one of the most reputed global forums for business networking, knowledge sharing, and strategic partnerships for inclusive growth and sustainable development. Meghna Dev's report, DD India.
An Indian Defence Minister, Rajnath Singh, is leaving on a two-day visit to United Kingdom on Monday. Along with high-level defence delegation, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will hold a bilateral meeting with his UK counterpart, Secretary of State for Defence, Grant Shapps. Discussion on a wide range of defence, security and industrial cooperation issues are expected. He will also interact with the CEOs and industry leaders of UK defence industry and meet with the Indian community. And Indian Home Minister Amit Shah will chair the National Mega Conclave on Primary Agricultural Credit Societies here in New Delhi today. The attendees will also include pharmacists or PSCs who have obtained drug licenses for operating Jan Aushadhi Kendras. The initiative will provide new opportunities to PACS for diversification and expansion of their economic activities, including increased incomes and more job opportunities. Well, in a major milestone for the Indian Air Force in terms of operational and troops deployment capabilities, the IAF demonstrated a ground-breaking feat by landing a C-130J Super Hercules aircraft on an airstrip in Kargil during night for the first time. Making this operation even more complex, the Indian Air Force employed terrain masking en route, a technique of low-altitude flight used by military aircraft to avoid enemy radar and infrared detection. Enhancing the stealth and security of the aircraft and the troops, the night landing exercise was integrated with the training mission of the Garud Commandos, an elite special unit of the Indian Air Force, enhancing operational coordination between its air and ground units. Located in northern Union territory of Ladakh at an altitude of 8,800 feet, Kargil holds immense strategic significance for India's defence capabilities as it has a close proximity with Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and China. And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. Kapil Muni Temple in South 24 Paraganas of Indian state of West Bengal lit up ahead of Ganga Sagar Fair 2024. It is the mark for the end of winters and the starting of longer days that bring hope for a new beginning. This is the time that the Ganga Sagar is celebrated. The preparations for Ganga Sagar Fair 2024 start 5 to 6 months earlier. Many departments of the central government work jointly to organize the event. In a unique combination of tradition, religion and sacrifice, a large number of devotees, including children, celebrated the Flower Kavadi festival in the South Indian state of Tamil Nadu. Devotees carry Kavadi, which is a wooden pole with two baskets that contain offerings to the deity. The devotees carry the Kavadi for various reasons, such as to ask for forgiveness, to seek blessings or to fulfill a vow. Preparations are in full swing for the consecration ceremony of Lord Ram Temple in Indian city of Ayodhya. Special arrangements have been made near the Saryu River for the rituals. The elaborate 7-day rituals of the Ram Temple consecration ceremony will begin on the banks of the Saryu on January 16th and will culminate with the consecration of Lord Ram's idol on the 22nd of January. Indian Meteorological Department has today on orange alert over parts of Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, NCR, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, with cold to severe cold day conditions to continue. The IMD forecasts dense to very dense fog at night and morning hours in the northern India. Several parts of Indian capital Delhi woke up to dense fog accompanied by a bone-chilling cold wave. And India commences first oil production from the complex and difficult deep-water KG-DWN-98/2 block situated off the coastal Bay of Bengal. The energy production is expected to be 45,000 barrels per day and over 10 million cubic meters of gas per day. It will contribute towards self-reliant in energy production in India. This project is expected to add 7% to current India's local oil production and 7% to India's natural gas production. The production will help India save nearly 110 billion Indian rupees per year. India imports 85% of its crude oil requirements and about half of its natural gas needs. And in sports, batters Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli have been recalled to India's T20 international team after more than a year for the 3-match T20 international series against Afghanistan, starting in Mohali on January 11th. The duo last The duo last appeared in the T20 match for India was the World Cup semi-final loss to England in Adelaide in November 2022. They have not been selected in the shortest format since then. Rohit would captain the side against Afghanistan as Hardik Pandya continues to remain out of action due to injury. The second T20 international will take place on 14th of January and the third on the 17th of January. And Australia secured a 6-wicket win over India in the second T20 international to level the 3-match series 1-1. India was restricted to 130 thanks to Annabel Sutherland and Georgia Weham, who shared 4 wickets between them and conceded just 35 runs in their 8 overs. India kept losing wickets regularly to end up with a below-par total. The target never looked threatening, but dew also came into play. Mandhana, who looked good for her 23, was unable to convert her start, failing to Sutherland's shot ball while trying to go big. Australia started rapidly in the chase, helped in part by the dew that had come in. Captain Alice Healy used the fielding restrictions in the power play to her advantage, coming down the track and lofting the ball over the fielders in the ring to find boundaries. Though Australia lost 4 wickets, but Elise Perry and Phoebe Litchfield shared an unbroken stand of 36 to take the visitors over the line. And the Japan's women's hockey team received a warm welcome in Ranchi, city of Indian state of Jharkhand. The team performed the traditional dance. They will take part in the highly anticipated International Hockey Federation Olympic qualifiers, which are scheduled to take place from the 13th to the 19th of January. Japan will begin the campaign against Czech Republic on the 13th of January. The other teams in the Pool A are Germany and Chile. Pool B includes host India, New Zealand, Italy and United States. The top 3 teams from the tournament will qualify for the Paris Olympic Games 2024. And the Hollywood Awards season begins as the 2024 Golden Globes Award kicked off on Sunday in California's Beverly Hills. Top film and television stars including Meryl Streep, Cillian Murphy and Florence Pugh walked the red carpet in first big Hollywood celebration since twin strikes by actors and writers brought show business to a halt last year. A new group of 300 entertainment journalists from around the world have decided this year's winners. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Vipakshi Kurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.